Now, great alteration means great change. And here, the sentence should read, whether they are unclung to or clung to, they are the great alterations. So, I'll read again. Whether they are unclung to or clung to, they are the great alterations. That means whether they belong to outside things or whether they belong to beings, living beings, all the same, they are great alterations. They are great changes. Here then, the great alteration of the unclung to, that means outside things, evidences itself in the emergence of an eon. Now, this word appears in another context also, and he made the same translation. But on page 329, just close to the bottom, 3 lines from the bottom, what did you see? What do you see there? Page 329. Medical charms resembling the fire that ushers in the end of an eon. So here also it should be the end of an eon, not emergence. The Pali word here is deceptive. So when the world, at the time of the destruction of the world, you see this change very, very clearly. Everything is destroyed. So the great alteration of the unclung to in organic lifeless things evidences itself in the end of an eon, and that of the clung to in the disturbance of the elements in the body. That means we believe that at least these 4 elements should be well balanced. If there is too much of the earth element or water element, then you get disease or you get sick. So in Burma there's a native medical practice which make the elements their basis, and they always explain with reference to these elements. So if you eat food which are sticky, and it will cause constipation and so on, and they say this food has earth element as its prominent property. And if you eat something which is bitter, they said you will get a lot of wind element. So it promotes wind element. And so they base on these 4 primary elements, and they divide food into, say, those which have earth element as prominent property or water element as prominent property, and so they treat patients by giving them food appropriate for the disease. And they always say food is medicine and medicine is food. Now, for accordingly, the conflagrations, flame burst up and so on, this is the explanation of the destruction of the world. And we'll come to that later too, in the next chapter. And then there are four verses that describe the alteration in the living beings. The bite of wooden malts can make the body stiff. To all intent, when roused, is its earth element. It might be gripped by such a snake. So they believe that there are snakes, the bites of which can cause your body to become stiffened. And also there are some kind of snakes which can make your body like water element and so on. So when bitten by such a snake, there is disturbance of elements in your body, and so your body alters. So they are great primaries because they have become the basis of great alterations. And then next one is because they are great and because they are entities. Great, because they need great effort to discern them, and entities or Buddha, because they are existent. Thus they are great primaries, because they are great and because they are entities. And then, again they are elements, because of bearing their own characteristics, because of grasping suffering, and because of sorting out, or because of producing suffering, and because none of them are exempt from the characteristic of being elements. And they are states, they are called states, dhammas, owing to bearing their own characteristics, and owing to their so bearing for the length of the moment appropriate to them. Now, the sub-commentary explains here the word dharana as not bearing, but just as existing. Existing with their own characteristics. Existing for the length of the moment appropriate to them. That means Ceta is called an element, and Rupa is also called an element. Ceta has only one moment's existence, one moment's life. But Rupa has 17 moments' life. So that is why it is said according to their own characteristic. For the length of the moment appropriate to them. So if it is Ceta or Cetasika, then it has only one moment's life, one moment's existence. If it is Rupa, it has 17 moments' life. They are impermanent in the sense of liability to destruction and so on. So they are not difficult. And then, as to the resolution, separability and non-resolution, inseparability, they are positionally unresolvable, inseparable, since they always arise together in every single minimal material group consisting of the bare octet and the others. Bare octet means those mentioned on page 397, paragraph 88. Color, odor, taste, nutritive essence, and the 4 elements. They are called bare octet. But they are resolvable, separable by characteristic. So they are different according to characteristic. This is how they should be given attention to as to resolution and non-resolution. And then to the similar and dissimilar. Although they are unresolved, inseparable in this way, yet the first 2 are similar in heaviness, and so are the last 2 in lightness. Earth and water are heavy, and fire and air are light. And the first 2 are dissimilar to the last 2, and the last 2 to the first 2. So they are dissimilar. This is how they should be given attention to as similar and dissimilar. As to distinction between internal and external, the internal elements are the material support for the physical basis of consciousness. That means eyes, ears, and so on, for the kinds of intimation and for the material faculties. They are associated with posture, and they are of fourfold origination. That means caused by 4 things. The external elements are of the opposite kind, because external elements are not caused by all 4 causes, but just by one temperature. And they are not associated with postures, and they are not basis for consciousness and so on. As to the inclusion, karma-originated earth element is included together with the other karma-originated elements, because there is no difference in their origination. So they are similar in being karma-originated. Likewise, the consciousness-originated is included together with other consciousness-originated elements. They are grouped together. And then, as to condition, the earth element, which is held together by water, maintained by fire, and distended by air, is a condition for other 3 great primaries by acting as their foundation and so on. So, they help each other and they do their own functions. So, they are conditioned for each other. And then, as to lack of conscious reaction, that means They have no consciousness, they have no understanding of their own. So here too, the earth element does not know, I am the earth element, or I am a condition by acting as foundation for three great primaries. And the other three do not know. The earth element is a condition for us by acting as our foundation. And similarly in each instance, this is how they should be given attention to as lack of conscious reaction. So they are non-cognizing things. They do not have cognition, they do not have consciousness, they do not have thinking. As to the analysis of conditions, there are 4 conditions now. This is important. There are 4 conditions or 4 causes for the elements or for the material properties, and they are karma, consciousness, nutriment, and temperature. And karma is a condition for what is karma originated, not consciousness and the rest. And consciousness, etc. alone are these respective conditions for what is consciousness originated, and not others. And karma is the producing condition for what is karma originated. So producing condition. For what is karma originated, it is indirectly decisive support condition for the rest. You have to use knowledge of patthana to understand this. In patthana there are 24 conditions mentioned. And here the producing condition means that which produces. But there is no producing condition, no producing condition among the 28, among 24 mentioned in patthana. So, in the footnote, you see the term producing condition refers to causing origination. Though as a condition, it is actually karma condition. So, among the 24 conditions mentioned in patthana, it is karma condition. But here it is said to be producing condition. So they are the same. For this is said, profitable and unprofitable volition is a condition as karma condition, for resultant aggregates and for materiality due to karma formed. And it is indirectly decisive support condition for the rest. Now, decisive support condition has the widest application among the 24 conditions. If you cannot explain certain thing by the other conditions, you may point to the decisive support condition, because it is very wide, and so you can include everything in that. Now, strictly speaking, decisive support pertains to only those that are mental, cetas and cetasikas, and not rupa. So here we cannot have the direct decisive support. That is why it is said indirectly decisive support. That means decisive support condition not mentioned in the patthana, but mentioned in some of the suttas. And so the sub-commentary gives some of the suttas, passages from some of the suttas, but those suttas cannot be traced. That's why there are blanks between the parentheses. So until this time, nobody can trace those quotations in the sub-commentary. And with a person as decisive support, and with a grove as decisive support, in the suttas, the decisive support condition can be indirectly understood according to the suttas in the sense of absence without. That means not arising without. Without it, something does not arise. So that is the condition for that. So if I cannot exist without you, then you are my decisive support condition, something like that. So not arising without. And the others are also explained that way. So that needs, but the knowledge of patthana. So I think we will skip this. And then the same method applies in the case of the consciousness originated, the nutriment originated, and the temperature originated, earth element and the rest. Paragraph 113. And when these elements have been made to occur through the influence of conaissance, etc., conditions with 3 in 4 ways to 1 due, and likewise with 1 due to 3, with 2 in 6 ways due to 2, thus their occurrence comes to be. Now, please have in mind, say the 4 elements, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So, what is explaining here is, 1 is dependent on the other 3. So let us say, 1 is dependent on 2, 3, 4. 2 is dependent on 1, 3, 4. 3 is dependent on 1, 2, 4. And 4 is dependent on 1, 2, 3. Something like that. And then 2, 3, 4 is dependent on 1. And 1, 3, 4 is dependent on 2. And then what? 1, 2, 4 is dependent on 3. And then 1, 2, 3 is dependent on 4. So, what do you call that? Mutual dependency. So that is what is explained here. And then you take two at a time. 1, 2 is dependent on 3, 4. 3, 4 is dependent on 1, 2. So you get all these things. Now, next paragraph. At the time of moving forward and moving backward, the earth element among these is a condition for pushing. That seconded by the water element is a condition for establishing on a foundation. But the water element seconded by earth element is a condition for lowering down. So when you're lowering down, there is the prominence of water element. The fire element seconded by air element is conditioned for lifting up. When you lift your foot up, the fire element and water element are prominent at that time. So when going down, the heaviness or something like that is prominent. And when you lift your body or your foot up, there is lightness. So you see the prominence of a given element when you raise your foot or when you put it down. As he gives his attention to them as what to many, etc. In this way, the elements become evident to him under each heading. And he again and again adverts and gives attention to them. Excess concentration, as he again and again adverts and gives attention to them, excess concentration arises in the way already described. So there is only excess concentration, no absorption. And this concentration too is called definition of 4 elements, because it arises in one who defines the 4 elements owing to the influence of his knowledge. And this bhikkhu who is devoted to the defining, these are the benefits of this meditation. And then development of concentration conclusion. So what benefit you will get from the development of concentration? And the benefits are given in detail from paragraph 120 onwards. So the first benefit is what? A blissful abiding here and now. That is the first. Now for the development, absorption, concentration provides the benefit of a blissful abiding here and now for the arahants with kangas described, who develop concentration, thinking we shall attain and dwell with unified mind for a whole day. So the arahants and noble ones enter into jhana to enjoy happiness. And that happiness is called here and now. Happiness here and now. So for the absorption, concentration has this benefit. And the next one is what? When ordinary people and trainers develop it, thinking after emerging we shall exercise insight with concentrated consciousness, the development of absorption concentration provides them with the benefit of insight. So they make the jhana the basis for insight. So it gives the benefit of insight, or insight as benefit, by serving as the proximate cause for insight. And so too does excess concentration as a method of arriving at wide open in crowded circumstances. That means in this samsara is explained to be a very crowded place, and so you get some white place when you get the excess concentration. That means you get a little happiness or peacefulness when you get concentration, and so you get a good chance there. So at wide open conditions and crowded circumstances, and the process of existence is the round of rebirth, which is a very cramped place, is crowded by the defilements of craving and so on. So this is what is meant here. So you get some moments which are free from the crowdedness of mental defilements of craving and so on. And then the next paragraph is a little complicated, 122. So I rewrote it. Maybe I'll explain this. Now, the development of concentration has direct knowledge as benefits, or they can give the benefits of direct knowledge. The development of absorption concentration. Now, when a person has attained all 8 attainments, that means 8 jhanas, and then he want to get the direct knowledge. So, if he want to get the direct knowledge, what must he do? So he entered into these these 8 attainments, and then make one of them as the 4th jhana. Make one of them as a basis for direct knowledge. So he enters into that jhana and then emerges from that jhana. And after emerging from that jhana, he wishes that I get some kind of miracle power. Here having been one, he becomes many. And that means I'm one, but I want to be many. And so he can create many resemblances of him, like Chula Pandaka did. So he wishes for that kind of power, and then he practices meditation, and then he gets the direct knowledge. So that is what is explained in this paragraph. But it's difficult here to understand. But the meaning is that. So after getting all 8 jhanas are called attainments here. If he wants to get the direct knowledge, then he enters into one jhana as a basis for direct knowledge, and that jhana is the 4th jhana. And then emerging from that jhana, he again makes a wish or something that having been one, I may become many. And then as a result of his meditation, he will get the direct knowledge. And direct knowledge really means the ability to create himself into many persons, or the other abhinyas also. So when ordinary people have not lost their jhana and they aspire to rebirth in the Brahma world, thus let us be reborn in the Brahma world, or even though they do not make the aspiration, then the development of absorption concentration provides them with the benefits of an improved form of existence, since it ensures that for them. That means development of concentration can lead you to get a better existence, to be reborn in a better existence as Brahmas and so on. So it has this benefit. And the last one, paragraph 124, is the development of concentration has attainment of cessation as benefit. That means those who have reached the third stage of enlightenment, and also arahants, can enter into the attainment of cessation. So during this attainment of cessation, all mental activities are suspended for as long as the person wishes. But the maximum duration for human beings is 7 days. So for 7 days or for 1 day or 2 days, he is like a statue. He has no mental activity. And so, and then that state of being without mental activities is said to be very peaceful and very, it's a highest form of happiness in this world. So it can give this benefit to the development of concentration. And so we come to the end of this chapter. Now the next chapter deals with supernormal powers, direct knowledge. So we have a glimpse of direct knowledge in the previous chapter, and in this chapter these kinds of direct knowledge are explained. And in this chapter we have a lot of stories. So what we should note here is there are 5 kinds of direct knowledge. They are what? In the second paragraph. When his concentrated mind is thus purified, or 1 is performing some kind of miracles. And the 2 is the knowledge of penetration of minds. That means reading other people's minds. What is third? 4, divine ear. The knowledge of the divine ear. That means hearing sounds far away. Hearing sounds that cannot be heard normally. And then the knowledge of the penetration of minds. And then the knowledge of recollection of past lives. And then the knowledge of passing away and reappearance of being. These are called direct knowledge. And the kinds of supernormal power, if a meditator wants to begin performing and so on. So now, here, he must achieve the 8 attainments, that means 8 jhanas, 4 rupa and 4 arupa, in each of the 8 kasinas ending with white kasina. So the first 8 kasinas, and the last 2 are left out. What are the last 2?
Light, space.
Space and light. So space is like left out because that cannot be the basis for attaining immaterial jhana. And the sub-commentary explains that the light kasina is to be taken as the same as what? White kasina. So in the Visuddhimagga only 8 kasinas are mentioned here, but the commentary says, sub-commentary says that we can take also the light kasina, but it is included in the white kasina. So let's say the eight kasinas, and then you have to make yourself very familiar with these kasinas and the jhanas. So there are 14 ways of making yourself familiar with these jhanas. That is, in order of the kasinas, in the reverse order of the kasinas, and so on. So you enter into jhana on this kasina, and the next jhana on this kasina, and the next jhana on this kasina, and then again you enter into first jhana on this kasina, and then second jhana, first jhana on this kasina, and then first jhana on the other kasina, and so on. So that is to make you very familiar with the jhanas and kasinas. You have to go in many different ways. then there are many stories in this chapter. And some stories have been given in some chapters we have read, and many are new, maybe new to you. Now on page 412, the Giri Banda Wahana offering at the end of the 10th paragraph, and then there is a footnote. Now, in Pali, the word for island and a lamp is the same, the word Diba. So he took Diba Puja to mean island offering, but it is not island offering. it's ridiculous if you say island offering. So it is a light offering. So during that festival, the lights are offered to at different places, like starting with the Chitiya Giri Mihintale and extending over the whole island and up to a league into the sea. So that is light offering festival, not island offering. And then the others, I hope you have read them. Now I want to give you page numbers of some stories. If you want to go read in more detail. And on page, let me see, on page 416, at the end of paragraph 28, the reference given there is DHA 240. So if you have the book Buddhist Legends, then part 2, page 238. And then at the end of paragraph 29, no reference is given, but actually there is reference. So please read Buddhist Legends, part 3, page 179, and so on. And then on page 417, end of first paragraph, third line, M1333, that is middle length sayings, first volume, page 396. And then end of paragraph 33, DHA 254, that is Buddhist Legends, part 2, page 246. The next paragraph, DHA 310, and so on, that is Buddhist Legends, part 3, page 103. And next paragraph, DHA 1216, and so on, Buddhist Legends, part 1, 286. And then on page 419, paragraph 41, third line, DHA 4207, that is Buddhist Legends, part 3, page 319. And then beginning of line 5, DHA 4216, that is Buddhist Legends, part 3, 327. And then 2 lines down, DHA 1174, that is Buddhist Legends, part 1, 256. And then end of the paragraph, DHA 3364, that is Buddhist Legends, part 3, page 130. There are 2 lines from bottom of that paragraph, made of the 7 gems in a place. Actually, not 7 gems, 7 precious things. 7 precious things means gold, silver, and other jewels. And then end of paragraph 42, DHA1384. That is Buddhist Legends, Part 2, page 59. So those are the references. And in the part we have covered the 10 kinds of, we are called 8D, success power. 10 kinds of success powers are given. And they are all of them are interesting. So if you have time, please study it again. And there is one thing which is very interesting, and that is, let me see, paragraph 26. A distinction brought about by the influence of knowledge, either before the arising of the knowledge or after it or at that moment, is called success by intervention of knowledge. Now, if a person is going to become an arahant in that life, he will not die, however much attempt is made to his life. He will not die without becoming an arahant. And so the knowledge of arahantship, which he is going to acquire in that life, protects him from being killed. That is very strange thing. So if you are going to become an arahant, then you will not die without becoming an arahant. Nothing can cause you to be killed. So the stories are given. The first one is the story of Venerable Bhakula. So in this story, he was swallowed by a fish. His mother was bathing him in the river, and he was swallowed by the fish. And the fish was caught by a fisherman and sold to a lady. And the lady who wanted to cook the fish cut it open and saw the child there, alive. So he did not die in the stomach of the fish, because he was destined to reach enlightenment in that life. That is why he was not killed. Normally he would not survive, being swallowed by a fish, so something like that. And the next story was Sankija. So while he was in the womb of his mother died. And so, as was the custom in those days, they tried to cremate the body. So when they cremate the body, they use stakes. And so one stake hit the child at a place like this, at the edge of the eye. And so he makes sound, noise. So when they heard the noise, they thought, oh, there is something there, and then so they cut open the belly of the body and then got a child. So he was named Sankija here. His name is Sankija because he was injured by the stake, which is in Pali called Sanku. That's why he was called Sankija and so on. So there are many stories given. And then Buddha Bala. And also those who cannot be harmed while they are in attainment. So that begins with paragraph 30. So Sariputta was in attainment, and so no harm could come to him, and then Sanjiva and so on. And I think we have reference of the devotee Uttara, say some weeks back, and also about Samavati. So they are to us miracles, but these miracles are caused by the intervention of concentration or intervention of knowledge and so on. So these are interesting stories. Some are not among them. Some are not caused by any any meditation or concentration, because the fact that the birds can fly and so on, they are also called success or miracles. And they got that ability just by birth, by being born as a bird. So they can fly through the air, but we cannot. So these 10 kinds of success are mentioned in the first part of this chapter. Okay. So we are not meeting next week.
So the following week we should have read through the next chapter, 445.
Let's see. Yes, about 20 pages. 439, let me see. Or 440. Yeah, 440 or 439. Yeah. Direct knowledge.